Welcome back to the Mintner Method. I'm your host, Andrew Mintner, and on today's episode, we are going to break down a matchup that everybody has been calling for, and being a Notre Dame fan, I feel like I owe it to myself and my sanity to break this matchup down. So it's Navy versus Notre Dame. It feels like there has never been a more crucial, significant matchup between the two of these programs in history. It always was, for the longest time, for 40 plus years. Notre Dame just dominated Navy, and then Navy finally broke through in a historic fashion, and then they've traded here and there. But there's a lot on the line right now. Like, Notre Dame's trying to make a push for the playoffs. Navy is trying to secure maybe a AAC championship bid. They'd have to go through Army also. Like, it's an insane time to be alive. Like, Navy and Army are doing great. Air Force sucks ass. Like, just crazy times here. Okay, so we're going to get into the nitty-gritty here. It is important, as I feel like I have done now 10 to 12 academy team breakdowns, and they're going to be very similar. I hate that this might be like boring content to break down for you over and over and over again, but like it's very straightforward. The cap here is Notre Dame's ability to stop the run, as per always, but also Navy's ability to stop Notre Dame's rushing attack, which is the prominent area of their offense. So what you have right here is Navy's schedule overall. Now, these are the FBS teams they've played. Now, it's crucial to put these into this type of format to see the strength that they've played against, okay? So, as you can see, overall, they have not played a great amount of teams when it comes to overall efficiency, right? And or explosiveness in that matter. So when we look here, Notre Dame doesn't rate really high when it comes to stuff rate. They're very average, 76th. And you can see that, that's kind of right in line with some of the other teams they've played. They haven't played some elite level teams there. Defensive line yards, they are very good in. And defensive havoc, pretty decent. This will be easily the best front seven that Navy's faced. I mean, even though the advanced statistics would say that that's Memphis, I don't think anybody in the world thinks that, outside of like maybe some Memphis fans who are like crazy. But yeah, so this will be the toughest front seven they've played. And so even though I'm looking at these metrics and I'm like, okay, 33rd in havoc total, 70th in front seven havoc allowed, 41st in rushing efficiency, 19th in rushing explosiveness allowed. I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, that's not that great. That's not elite level when you're thinking of playing Navy or an academy team, right? But the important thing is we have to break it down even further than that, okay? So when we look at option runs, Notre Dame is 7th overall in EPA per attempt, okay? Now, they've only faced 23 attempts, mind you, but that is an incredible ranking. Now, obviously, I know you're looking at this and you're like, oh, all these teams are bottom 30, Well, they're bottom 30 because they played Navy, and Navy destroyed them. And yeah, like half of that can be true, right? But these teams also, some of them have some high like marks here. They have a lot of sample size. And so, again, this reiterates this is the toughest team that Navy has played to date. Now, when we go to the early downs data, I didn't bring Navy into it because this is their first Power 5 team they're playing. So their numbers are slightly inflated versus the competition they've played, right? So it's important to note that Notre Dame on defense is 8th overall in EPA rush per attempt against Power 5 teams, all right? And they're first overall versus passing attempts. Now, the thing is, though, like that number is going to go down passing simply because they lost Benjamin Morrison, who's the best cornerback in all of college football. And that kind of sucks. That puts a damper on their ceiling for the season. But in this matchup, I don't think it's going to be really that crucial because, again, we're not capping Navy's ability to pass the ball. That's just not part of it. All right. So when we come over to their offensive side of the ball, Notre Dame is number 1 out of all 70 Power 5 teams in EPA rush per attempt on first and second down, on early downs. They are first overall. And that is going to be crucial when we look at these advanced stats, okay? So the biggest key here is Navy's defensive front is not that great. Okay, they're 104th in stuff rate, 120th in defensive line yards. Now, their havoc is okay, 43rd, 36th in front seven, but they're 107th in rushing efficiency and 61st in rushing explosiveness. Now, 61st is a little bit above average, but Notre Dame is second overall in explosive runs, and they're ninth in rushing efficiency. Excuse the screen, battery's dying on my computer, but it's bright now. So that's crucial. That's important. Okay, and the thing is, this is the type of offense that can give Navy problems. Normally, an academy team, you want a team that's explosive, that can put up points, because then it forces the academy teams out of their comfort zone and out of the game script that they want to entail. This offense can do that. The academy offenses are used to not being on the field for a long time, so their academy defenses, excuse me, so they're fresher, and usually they perform better, and that's kind of been a fact over time. But, the thing is, some rubber's going to meet the road on that side of the ball. Now, when we look at Notre Dame from a defensive standpoint, like I said, their defensive their defensive rushing metrics do not seem to be elite on paper, right? 76 in stuff rate, 26 in defensive line yards, as we went over this already. And we know that Navy is extremely good running the ball. This is all well known. A lot of green, and we're not going to cap the passing side, as we all know. We're not going to do that. Notre Dame 41st overall in rushing efficiency, 19th in explosive rushes allowed, which will be key. If they're giving up big plays to this team, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day. Now, when we come over to the defensive rush modern metrics, which is something I want to dive in on, you have QB designed runs, which is either going to be a draw or just a designed run in general. Notre Dame and Navy are both pretty good. 14th overall for Notre Dame in EPA per attempt, 10th for Navy, right? On option runs, which is where the whole game will be decided, Notre Dame is 7th overall against 23 attempts. So when we're looking at these things here, it's important to understand that the line being 12.5 it has a large range of outcomes, in my opinion. Okay, so what I want to do next is I want to look at the passing, the overall passing profile for Notre Dame. Okay, so as most know, Notre Dame, Riley Leonard is not known for his passing. Anybody who watched him play at Duke, anybody who knew that coming into the season should know that he was not going to be passing the ball in general. So they're passing the ball the fifth most amount of times, 9 yards or less. Excuse me. 69% of the time when they attempt to pass, it's 9 yards or less, okay? And the vast majority of that is going to be 1 to 9 yards, okay? And they're average at that, 54. This is their overall profile. Now, when it comes to throwing the ball down the field, a lot, and I mean a lot to be desired, okay? So they are 110th in EPA per deep pass attempt, right? And then 79th in medium passing attempt. So they're 99th overall. And this is against their whole schedule. This is not counting just Power 5 teams, okay? So there's a lot to be desired there. And I think Notre Dame understands that that's just not their game, which is fine, which is fine in this matchup. I don't want to say it's fine overall because it's not, because it's terrifying to see coming down the stretch who they would even be able to beat in the playoff. And I say that as a diehard Notre Dame fan, but I digress. So when we look at Navy's defense, which is crucial in this exercise, they've done pretty well on their overall schedule. They're ninth in EPA per short attempt and 10th overall in 9 yards or passes 9 yards or less. So they're equipped to probably take on this passing offense. And then when it comes to the defensive side, or when it comes to further down the field, excuse me, I'm on the wrong sheet. When it comes to further down the field, there's some weakness there. But again, like we have to understand this. Like we had said in the previous video, Notre Dame does not throw the ball down the field. We cannot project these advantages for teams that do not show the tendency to take advantage of these weaknesses. All right. So the next thing is we need to look at the schedule, right? We need to take a look and see, pretty much what we have going on, right? So Notre Dame's coming off the Georgia Tech win, and they have looked pretty solid since the Northern Illinois debacle, right? And they've played some decent competition. Louisville, Georgia Tech, they're okay. They're not, neither are making the playoff or anything like that. But they're okay, right? Navy is coming off just a straight shellacking of Charlotte. And they have played everybody like they expected to play them, right? And that's just, that's just that. Like nobody has given them really any trouble whatsoever. Even Memphis didn't. And so having this game at home and seeing that, they really, they're going to get up for this game. I don't think they're going to be let behind here and be let down. The concerning thing to me, though, is right here in this game log. Memphis averaged 7.21 yards per attempt, okay? And there is no way in hell that Memphis is a better rushing team than Notre Dame. And they're not by any metric or any facet, okay? Now, yes, they allowed this, and they still won by 12. They are not scoring 56 points on Notre Dame's defense. That is not going to happen, okay? So even if this is met somewhere in the middle, let's say like Notre Dame averages like 5.5 yards per attempt, it's going to be tough to cover 12 points. And so the flip side to this is when I look at Notre Dame, yes, they have not faced, anybody with this type of rushing prowess, right? To date, when it comes to this season, I mean that's obvious. Like nobody would say otherwise, right? But no one team has averaged the highest average is 4.2 yards per attempt. And, I mean, you have Stanford who ran the ball 41 times, like Northern Illinois 45 times. The thing is, if Navy's averaging under 4 yards per attempt, it's going to be a long day. I don't think they're going to – they're going to need to average more than that. They're going to have to average more than that to win this game or to cover this game. And so when we look at their game logs – excuse me, I'm not feeling well. That's in their wheelhouse, right? I mean, they're just dominating, right? Again, back to the log here, they average almost 10 yards per attempt versus Memphis. This is not going to happen against Notre Dame. So if they average anywhere under 4, I don't think they can cover this game. I don't think they can win this game. And the thing is, I know that it goes against trying to be a homer here and saying that I think Notre Dame's going to cover 12.5 or 12, and that seems egregious. But the thing is, I think we have two things here, okay? Notre Dame is equipped to take on the weakness that Navy does have, and that is their rushing defense. And the defense, on the flip side, is equipped to take on this triple option attack. And it's something to be said when you have a team that plays this style of offense every single year. Like, you have people on that staff who understand like what this offense is. And so that's one of the reasons they play so well against it. The other reason other teams struggle is because they don't see it enough. It's hard to scout a perfectly executed triple option scheme in 1 week. It's impossible. You can't you can't mimic it, and you almost have to hope to get by on athleticism. So the thing for me is Notre Dame, from a straight up talent standpoint, obviously is more talented than Navy, and that's not anything against them. They just are. And then from a schematic standpoint, they have people on the coaching staff who have faced off against this type of offense before. I mean, they just faced them last year and put them down 52-3. Now, that's obviously not this. We're not comparing last year to this year, but it's important to understand they've had reps against these type of teams as they play Navy every single year. Now, the key here is the designed runs for Riley Leonard on offense is going to dictate the entire game. If Notre Dame is breaking explosive runs and just destroying and gashing Navy's defense, and they are the ones controlling the game script, then there's just no way that they're going to be able to cover 12.5. Now, the line is it is high, especially if you feel like, Navy's going to control the game script, but I just don't see that happening. The schedule they have played has been below average at best. I mean, the Memphis game, they were underdogs in that game and they dominated. But like I said at the beginning of the year, like I wasn't high on Memphis. Still not. I mean, their best win is Florida State. I mean, you tell me. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to be leaning towards Notre Dame and the points. I think they're going to be locked in as they have been the last several weeks. They know they need every single one of these games, and they need every single one of these games by double digits. So that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Share with a friend, a family member, somebody else who might be interested in what we break down here. And I have a couple more videos I'm trying to finish up. This is, it's been a shorter week, and that's totally okay. I'm trying to get to all of the subscriber videos that were recommended. This is a subscriber suggestion. It was a game I was going to cover anyway, but I felt like I should shout that out. Somebody did want this breakdown, and I feel like a lot of people do because I break down obscure games for obscure teams that, and this isn't an obscure game, but I don't know anybody else who's not like a Navy alum who has broken down as many academy games this year. I've never been in the military. Nobody in my family has been outside of like my grandfather who's obviously passed away. So I think it's kind of a niche thing. We're breaking down games that people want to, like high profile games, but we're also breaking down games that matter. That people want to see. So, all right. Other than that, thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.